And yet the two business owners who were going bust this weekend, who were crying in their frigging own coffee at home, who are not going to have the money coming in, will be saying, oh, the big companies, oh, we can't compete with the big companies. There's never been a better time to compete with the big companies, ever. The most successful businesses are built on the front, and the back is just taken for granted. It just is. What's most important is that the guy who runs his business knows what his business is for, and that's what I keep saying all the time. Most businesses out there now today, most business owners are headless chickens, clueless, looking around at and I mean that respectfully, looking around at every other business owner and making their decision on how they're running their business just because somebody else has run their business like that. Failing to take into consideration how people act and think, how we make decisions as human beings. They run their business as business owners, not as people. Not as people who make the same decisions, who are pissed off at the same things that when they go into a dental practice and they get ripped off, or they would have just loved a free session to be able to make a better decision about getting the implant or potentially investing 20 grand with them further down the line. Like, they live that way, but then all of a sudden arrive to work one day, put the keys in the door and miraculously become somebody else when this fucking suit goes on. So it's a failure of the business owner to understand A, his customers, B, what they feel, how they think. It's a failure to embrace the long game, which you'll see in here. I just live by it. I don't care about day-to-day money. Don't care about profits, day-to-day. I don't look at today's profit and go, what did we make? I don't look at Fridays and go, what did we make? It's a 3-month, it's a 6-month, it's a 9-month and a 12-month. How will today's conversation, today's gesture, today's over-the-top delivery on customer service impact my profits this year, in the next 5 years, 10 years? When you still see people coming back in here from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it'll be because somebody did something spectacular that wowed them with service 5 years ago. Not because we give them great physical therapy, ever. Give you an example. I'm going to go slightly off track. So Costa's opened up, yeah. 2 coffee shops have already handed their notice in to quit in the town because of it. That is the classic example of you can survive and you can do okay on the coffee, the thing, the TK, the coffee, but the moment somebody comes along and gives a superior experience, you're fucked. Every town is riddled with companies and organisations that will give an inferior service and survive an existing business just because nobody up until now has trumped them. So there are certain places I go into town, we've had this conversation before, there are certain places I go where I cannot wait for somebody to come along, and me and her have had this conversation about somebody and something recently under the same breath, that right now I have no alternative but to do business with that person. The moment somebody opens up, I'm gone. The moment that somebody gives me a better experience for the same coffee, I'm out of there. And that's what's happened in there. They're all going to be sat there going, or Costa, or the big companies, isn't it a shame that the little businesses have gone out of business because of Costa? Nothing to do with that. It's because they give you comfy seats to sit on, there's a nice ambience, they've actually put some thought into the lights and the position of the lights so that there's a nice mood and there's a nice little feeling when you walk through the door. The guys give a shit, they ask your name, within 2 days they remember my name and what I want. I've been going to one coffee shop in the town for 5 years. Never been asked my name, what I drink. Every morning I had to ask for my coffee every time. If I was lucky, she'd actually be there. Most of the time she'd be having a tab outside and I'd have to wait for the fucking coffee machine to heat back up. And I'm sitting there every single time I go in knowing that there'll always be an excuse, there'll always be a reason why. She'll never ask my name. She never once said, oh, listen, I've seen you coming here every single morning or whatever. What's your name? Where do you work? Where do you go? So tell me about your business. Day 3 of going into Costa, noticed that. So tell me about your business. What do you do? Who do you help? What type of people do you have coming in? Is that like sports injuries or is it like personal training? No, it's like physio. We help people with bad backs. Oh, I've got a bad back. Can you help me? My mother's got a bad back. Boom, boom. Within 3 days. That's why Costa is killing it. And yet the two business owners who were going bust this weekend, who were crying in their frigging own coffee at home, who are not going to have the money coming in, will be saying, oh, the big companies. Oh, we can't compete with the big companies. There's never been a better time to compete with the big companies, ever. Because of social media, because of Facebook, because of websites, because of how people make decisions, because of YouTube, and how people get influenced to make decisions. Before, they hand money over. And if you can do that first, in the same way that Costa did. So I hadn't even handed my card over, and he's like, hey, how's your morning? What you're up to? Tell me about your business. What's your name again? And it took him 3 mornings. On the second day, the guy had a go. He got it wrong, but because he laughed and he giggled, it's like, I appreciated the fact that he had even acknowledged that I'd been in the day before and been in his custom 24 hours earlier. Them 2 dreadful fucking things over there, and there's another one hanging around on the marina which is doing exactly the same, existing because nobody's come along yet and gone, I'm going to smash you, not for coffee, for people. And when they do, you'll be all crying. You'll be crying in your fucking tea and your coffee, wondering why, and the big companies that come in and we just can't compete with them, and you know, blah blah blah. And oh, by the way, but Costa actually charges an extra 50 pence a coffee to do that. Does that give you a bit of an idea that people want more than fucking coffee and they'll pay for it? So you can't tell me it's the big companies, because they're charging more than you are and they're all gone. Why? Because you've set the same chairs out there in a crap coffee store for 15 years. You've never improved it, you've never improved the service, you've never called anybody by their name, you give cheap plastic cups that feel horrible, and anybody who loves coffee knows that the way that you hold that thing and how it feels in your hand is an influencer in the decision. They've tapped into emotions, feelings, not transactions, not day-to-day profits. How you feel about that coffee, how you feel about when you greet it, how you feel about being recognized. The number one thing, most important, recognized. So again, the smaller businesses, never been a better time to beat the big businesses, because we can do it now. Like, the big businesses are still going to do all right, and they're still going to do their advertising, they're still going to do their marketing, they're still going to run, they will. But the company that comes along underneath them, if I'm a big business, or even I never worry now about the bigger businesses above. I don't really worry about anything, but I don't worry about the bigger businesses above. I'd be more worried about the one man, solo, hungry, keen as shit, like passionate, gives great service, wants to wow his customers, who comes out of uni, wants to set up against me. That's what I'm worrying about. I'm not worrying about Booper or whoever else set up around the corner against us a couple of years ago. I won't mention their name. Dreadful, horrible, big, clunky, exists on physiotherapy alone. Doesn't have customer service. Fucking next door opens the shutters for them. It's like, the whole thing is wrong. But they're a big, chunky brand. Now, a lot of the small companies will be worried about that. Complete opposite. That's not the companies that you worry about. It's the guy who gives the better service, the guy that can give that personalized service. So in our world, as we get bigger, our goal becomes to stay small, or feels to get big, but to stay small. So as these numbers increase, which they do, and everything happens, and more staff are coming through the door, and it's happening in America with our American team, it's getting bigger. Like, it's getting huge to the point where we're like, holy crap, this is big now. But it has to feel small for them. Can't be a computed automated response that says, hey, take a whatever. It has to be a reply from Amy that says, hey, Stephen, great to see you. How's Austin? Before I do that for you, how's the kids? How was your weekend? What did you get up to? How's that new staff member going that you were telling me about on the last call that we had 3 weeks ago, etc., etc. So those are the things that we need to get clear on here. It'll always go back to the people inside of the business and how you make them feel today before we take money off them there. Again, my world today in Costa, tell me about your job, you recognise the logo. Tiny little thing, just, so you're a physio, what's that? Boom, into a conversation, into a connection. Whenever I hear stories like that, it fills me with glad. Like, it absolutely, and I never thought I would say that. I've not an ounce of remorse, not an ounce of, I feel sorry for the business owner. Like, you've had your chance, you had your time, you had your day, you got lazy as shit, you sat on a pillow, you made a little bit of money, and you expected it to come in every day for the rest of your life. Not looking around you going, hey, things are changing, consumers are changing, let's check what's happening, how can we replicate what the big guys are doing but in a small clinic? Yeah. Why is somebody like me being studying Starbucks and coffee shops and all these things, and I'm a physio owner? Because I want their experience. Doesn't matter. Does not matter one iota that they're a coffee shop. The moment that you start to go, I'm a coffee shop, I'm a lawyer, we can't do things like that, I'm a physiotherapist, we can't do stuff like that, I'm a doctor, my patient's absolute bullshit. And that is the reason they're going out of business. So those guys today, those two coffee shops, oh, but we're just a small company, we can never compete with the big boys. Really? Never been a better time, ever. Never been a better time to charge more money, give more service, give people what they're looking for, which is that one-on-one, personalised connection, engagement, all the shit that people are doing all day long on this thing called a phone. The businesses that will win are the ones who can replicate what's happening on this thing in here today. Boom. Significant. So that becomes your job. Those little things are everywhere. So when that guy walks through the door and you've checked his mystique, it's like, hey, is this another five-a-side injury? He'd go, what? You remembered me? You remembered that I love five-a-side? Me? The guy that everybody's ignored for the last 30 years? Me that like my own grandkids don't even like acknowledge me in the street anymore? Me, my own kids who only come and see me once a month? Me that nobody likes any of my posts on Facebook anymore? Me that like nobody retweets anything that I say, so I stopped doing it on Twitter? Me that like put 2 videos on YouTube and nobody's watched them? Like me, you remembered me? Wow. Like me? Yeah, you. Like we really value your business. Yeah. Take note of what I've just said. Yeah. That's what goes on. Yeah. That's what that guy will feel. Me that like walks down the street that nobody recognizes. Me that like reads the paper every day and sees all these celebrities and all of this attention going on, all these fucking people who are like ridiculously untalented, who are getting shitloads of attention and making shitloads of money for having a big ass or plastic surgery or doing something silly on TV, who are getting all the attention right now. And you recognize me? That's what you pay attention to. That's what this business does. That's how we make what we make. That's how we have got to where we've got to. When you really focus that and understand that that's what he feels, so you're not just connecting with him, you're turning him into a celebrity for a day, because we've all been through it and we live it every day. More and more so again as this thing takes over. This can either make you feel the king or like the rat, because your post goes up and like you're so excited for somebody to share it and like it and tweet it and comment on it and make you feel a celebrity, and it didn't happen. So you try it again and it didn't happen. And you try it again and it didn't happen again. So you feel like a rat. And again, how easy is it to recreate that into a business? It's just, you just become people. Just do the stuff that people are doing to you to make you feel good. And if you can make people feel good and you can give them that, me? Like, you remembered me, Louise? Who works for a brewery, who isn't like, you know, super famous and isn't in the sun and isn't on TV or isn't like all over YouTube or doesn't have like 1 million followers on Twitter or Instagram showing off their like first class flights to fucking LA or whatever else everybody's doing. I ain't gonna do business with anybody else ever again because you recognize me. And do you wanna know why they come back to you? It's not because they were recognized, it's because how you made them feel. It's a drug. Again, I go back into it, it's a drug. That we want them to associate that drug, that moment that he hears five-a-side, there's a drug goes through his body that says he was recognized. So what happens in here really is we stimulate that feeling. They ain't buying physical therapy, they're buying a drug. They're getting a hit here. If you were taught this like 20 years ago, this world would be a lot easier. When you go to places that you go to, you don't go because you buy the clothes or the coffee or whatever, you buy the drug. So right now I'm buying a drug going into Costa. The guy knows who I am. I take it back. Me? Like, just trying to get recognized. You recognize me and you understand me? So if you're Joe Public on the street, seeing all this shit going on around you, seeing your friends with 5,000 friends, you can't even get any more followers because they've got that many of them, getting their posts retweeted and liked and shared and spoken about and whatever else, and you come along and recognize me, I'm in, I'm done, I'm in for business all my life with you.